we have shown the world that if the people organize themselves, if the people are determined, if they have the clear political aim, together with this humanitarian thought, we can drive the politician in front of us. We can force them to do some things because they know that it's not possible to go back to the situation before. We have now suddenly a situation where Ashton, Clinton, Reinfeldt, Swedish Prime Minister, Swedish Foreign Minister, Sarkozy, Berlusconi, all of them, even some ministers in the Israeli cabinet, saying that the siege has to be stopped, by saying that the siege will be lifted in 6 months. And why I say this? Because if Tony Blair is saying it has to be lifted, then it will be lifted, because Tony Blair doesn't like to be on the losing side. Tony Blair knows where the wind is blowing, and he's changed his position according to what he thinks the new situation is. So I really believe, and I hope I am right one more time, this is the first. We can organize ourselves, we can do things, we don't have to wait to elections, we can do it as a movement of the people. And I think this we have to take with us from this experience. The second thing I would like to say, that we have, all of us, coming from very different political backgrounds. The same was in the Freedom Flotilla. The most important thing is to find what is common. Let us not discuss what is not common. Let us find out what is common in this mission, in this time, what is the most important. Which with the Freedom Flotilla was to break the siege and to give the message to the world that this siege is against international law, this siege is unacceptable, and to show the world how the Israelis are forcing the siege, and when they are confronted with a certain resistance, they are ready to kill. It shows the real face. The same way is when we demand what we shall do to make the Palestinian-Israeli conflict change direction. How can we go forward towards peace, or what it is called, or just peace? As most of us here are not citizens of Israel or citizens of Palestine. As non-citizens of this area, we cannot tell them one state, two states. This is not interesting from my point of view. What is interesting for me is all the people between the river and the sea have to have the same rights, national and individual. If they, in the region, want to solve it in 2 states, okay for me. 1 state, okay for me. 7 states, even that's okay for me. The important thing, everyone should have the same rights. And this, the international community can demand. This, nobody can say no. Some people in this region will have more rights and others not. We have to find a way to put this to the people, that they understand that this is the choice. Or everyone is equal, or people are not equal. There is no in between, half equal. It doesn't exist. If we can unite on this, I think we can be a force. If we try to split ourselves to small, how it will be in the future in 10 years, or in 1 year, or in 50 years. Because this is universal principle. It is not to do with 1 year, or 2 years, or 5 years, or 10 years. This is something we all have to agree to in the future. And I think this is also something I learned now when I work with the Freedom Flotilla. We succeed to work with people that politically I don't think I'm near at all. But all of us said we are for human rights. And I would like, people speak very much now about this Turkish organization IHH. They say it's Islamists, extremists, and so on. Probably there are people there that I would not like to have a dinner with and not to discuss the women liberation or many other aspects, or democracy even. But I like to quote the speech of the president of IHH, Gulant. He had a speech, and there he said like this: if the world will put Israel under total blockade, and the people in Israel will suffer as much as the people of Gaza, I here, in for God, promise you that I will organize a freedom flotilla to have these people in need. And this message no newspaper is printing. Of course not. Because the aim is to demonize parts of the flotilla, and by the technique of guilt by association, demonize us all. I said in the Israeli, I was interviewed in the Israeli radio 5, 8 times every day during the whole way to the attack. And I told them, I know that 5 days after we come home, 2 cards will come out of the pro-Israeli lobby. First will come the terrorist card, and then will come the anti-Semitic card. And we have them now. Just 2 days ago, they published in one of Swedish biggest morning paper article about anti-Semitism. And in the middle, as illustration, they have a picture of one of our boats. What does it have to do? Article doesn't write about it, nothing. Guilt by association. So we have to emphasize more and more and more. In this, we are together. We are Jews and Christian and Muslim and Turks and Kurds and Iraq and Italians and Israelis and Palestinians and whoever, because this is a case for international law, human rights, and this cannot be differentiated to the different groups. This is what I think is most important.